Thanks for joining us for the interview portion of the Data Speaks competition, created in partnership with RFG 2018 and Sequent. I'm Nicole Doucette, a science communications specialist from Sequent, and I'm sitting here today with Sam from the University of British Columbia. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
So your original abstract title was, I'm going to try my hardest to nail this, Stable Isotopes as an Exploration Tool, Tracking Cryptic Alterations Surrounding the East Sky Cruz Zinc Skarn CRD Deposit, Central Peru.
Yes.
So what is your revised non-specialist abstract title?
The revised title is a signature in invisible ink, how carbon and oxygen can help us find mines hiding in plain sight.
Very understandable.
Hopefully it's better.
So what question are you trying to answer?
The question I'm trying to answer has everything to do with application. So around the world we have these mineral deposits that are where we get all our copper and gold and zinc. And a lot of times when these mineral deposits form, they'll generate a very characteristic pattern around them. And geologists can use this pattern to help find new deposits. So if the actual core of the deposit is something like the bullseye on a dartboard, the dartboard itself can act as a tool. If you know where you are on the dartboard, you know how far you are from the bullseye. But unfortunately, not all deposits have this nifty visual pattern. But researchers as early as the 1960s discovered that for certain deposit types, if you actually look at their carbon and oxygen, you can actually see kind of an invisible dartboard where you'll see the same pattern, but you need to look at the carbon and oxygen. And so they noticed this, but the time it took and the cost was way beyond impractical. And so researchers recently adapted a new device that allows you to rapidly and cheaply get the same information. So the core of my research is how can we best apply this tool now that we have it?
Great. And so what concept then does someone need to know to understand your research?
The core concept is behind something called an isotope. And so if it's been a while for viewers or anyone else since chemistry and the periodic table, we all know the elements. And so carbon and oxygen are elements, but each of them have protons, electrons, and neutrons. So the normal version of an element will have a certain number of those. And an isotope is where it has either more than normal or fewer than normal neutrons. And so those are always less common. And so what the key concept is that if you have a way to detect how many of a certain isotope you have, you basically compare that number to the number of the regular version of the element, and then that number can tell you kind of where you are in that dartboard.
Great. So what role does data play in your research?
Data plays a big role, and as a geologist, there's multiple types of data. So there's the normal spreadsheet, numbers, graphs, etc. But I was fortunate enough that my project is in the high Andes in Peru. And so I got to go up to 5,000 meters and collect a bunch of rock samples. And so for me, data is not just the results that come from the experiments, but it's also 650 kilograms of rocks in the basement that all need to be cut and photographed and mapped and drilled and pulverized before I can even get to that number. So it's data is a unique beast for a geologist.
Sounds like it. And so why is it important for you to share your data and your research?
Well, it's easy to forget how often and how much we use metals all around us. And part of that is because we've been able to find a lot of very large deposits fairly easily throughout history. And so, gold rushes, these weren't people looking for this hidden gold. It was people tripping over gold and then everyone coming to find it. We're well beyond that point now, and giant, easy-to-find deposits are no longer the norm. And so as we progress and as we try to meet the demand for growing electrification of our global civilization, we're going to need to get trickier. We're going to need to use an expanded toolkit. And my research is ideally contributing to that large toolkit. It's not going to solve everything. It's pretty niche, as the title suggests. But if I can walk away from the research with a useful tool that people can really get, I'd be happy.
Great. Thanks for joining us today, Sam.
Thank you.
Once again, this is the Data Speaks competition at RFG 2018, created in partnership with Sequent. You can watch the videos on YouTube or Twitter, #CDataSpeak.